Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. So on today's video tutorial, guys, we are still going through the grade 12 mathematical literacy paper 1 that was written in June 2023. And in this video tutorial, guys, we're going to be tackling question 5.1, and here we're basically analyzing this bar graph, right? So it's under the umbrella of data handling. Also in this question, guys, we're going to be required to work backwards, with the equation of your mean, or how you calculate your mean. We're going to work with that equation, work with that formula, to help us determine an unknown value. So if you know that you struggle with those type of things, please make sure that you have please make sure that you watch this entire video tutorial, because I'm going to be taking you guys through this question in detail. Before we get started, please make sure that you are subscribed, guys, to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video tutorial, guys. And also please don't forget to give all these video tutorials a huge thumbs up, guys. It really helps the channel grow, and it helps the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks. Also, guys, if you really want to support the channel and you appreciate the content that I'm making for you guys, consider being a member. The benefits, the perks of being a member is that you get to watch all these video tutorials earlier. So you don't have to wait for the next day or 2 days before I release the video tutorial. So immediately when I upload the video tutorial, you get to watch the video tutorial. All right, so without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. So like I mentioned, guys, in today's video tutorial, we're going to be looking at question 5.1. Question 5.1 is also jam-packed. This question just wants us to be refreshed. It wants us to be clear in our heads, because it's a lot that's going on. So please make sure that you are focused and you're in a quiet area, and you engage with this question. So it says that the graph below shows the percentage of the gross value of production of the main agricultural products in Brazil. One value B is omitted. So we are told that these following graphs, these are bar graphs, basically show the percentages of the products that are actually the main products that are produced, or the main agricultural products that are produced in Brazil. We are told that the total gross value for 2020 was 322 million US dollars. So we're going to highlight that because it is going to be very important. This information is going to be very, very important in us analyzing our questions. Then we are also told that the following graphs basically represent the percentages of the gross value of production of the main agricultural products in Brazil for 2020, for 2021. So it's different graphs there. So it's obviously comparing the production, or the gross value of production in terms of percentages from 2020 to 2021. So the main products, or the main agricultural products that are produced in Brazil, we see the soybeans, the sugar cane, the corn, the coffee beans, the oranges, bananas, and the cotton seeds. How we basically interpret this information, we see that the percentage of the gross value of production for your soybeans, right, in 2020 was 26.01%. The percentage of production for your sugar cane in 2020 was 18.17. The percentage of corn 2020 was 10.05. That is how we're going to go about interpreting this information that is given to us. It represents the percentages of, so how do you think we'd now have to how would we go about determining how much gross value was obtained from the production of soybeans. Okay, so here, this information, that is where this information now becomes useful, because this information now tells us, né, if we produce 26.01% of sugar of soybeans, né, that basically means to determine the revenue that we've obtained from producing these soybeans, okay, we are going to say that, okay, that means that this is the total gross value for the production for 2020. So for actually producing all these, okay, and other products, Brazil actually made 110,322 million US dollars. Okay, so to determine how much exactly they made from the production of the soybeans, that is how we're gonna basically use that percentage. Okay, so we know that, okay, 26.01% of that 110,322 million, right, is going to give us what the value was for the soybean. Okay, so this 110,322 just represents the 100% all of these products. Okay, and the others that were basically not shown. Remember, these products that we basically see on this bar graph, right? It's just the main agricultural products that are produced in Brazil, right? However, we still have others that are not included, okay? So those are the other products that are also included in the 100%. But now, if you want to determine how much money was actually made from just producing the soybeans, we'll just take the percentage of the soybeans, okay? And we know that 26% of that 110,322 million will give us the amount made from the soybeans, okay? So that is where your mind needs to be at. That is where that figure, okay, can be applied. It will help us to determine the actual values for 2020. How much gross value did they make from producing soybeans, from producing the sugar cane? Okay, how would we determine how much they made from producing the sugar cane? It will be 18.17% of 110,322 million. Okay, so that is how we need to go about determining those values. Okay, so now let's have a look at the questions here, right? It says use the graph above and the information to answer the questions that follow. Question 5.1.1, it says the percentage gross value of production of bananas decreased from 2020 to 2021. Identify the agricultural products that had the largest increase from 2020 to 2021. Okay, so we already know here the reason why they've decided to tell us about the bananas, right? That for the bananas, okay, the gross value of production decreased is because we won't be able to basically determine whether it was an increase or a decrease, because we've got a missing value here of B. All right, so that's why they've basically said that, okay, don't worry about that one. Okay, that one was basically a decrease, so don't stress. Okay, so we're not going to basically focus on that one because we know that it decreased. Okay, so now we want to now identify the agricultural products that had the largest increase. Okay, so how will we determine whether it had a large increase? Okay, the first thing that we need to do, we need to first determine whether it increased from 2020 to 2021, right? Then from there, and just root out, okay, the products that didn't have an increase, and then from there we'll be able to then compare with the values that we'll have left whether it had the largest increase or not. Okay, so let's start off with the soybeans. Okay, so with the soybeans, was it an increase or a decrease? Do you see that it decreased from 26.01% to 25.98? So we're gonna scratch it out. Okay, it was not an increase, it decreased. So we're going to scratch that out. Let's look at the sugar cane. From 18.17 to 16.6, it was a decrease. We're going to scratch it out. The corn, 10.05 to 11.91. It was an increase. We're not going to scratch it out. The coffee beans, 8.92 to 9.33. It was an increase. We're not going to scratch it out. The oranges, 6.67 to 6.22. It was a decrease. We're going to scratch that out. It's not going to be relevant for this question. The cottonseed, 1.76 to 3.95. It was an increase. So now we're going to compare now with these three values, the corn, right? The corn, the coffee beans, and the cotton seeds. We're going to find out from these three products which one had the largest increase. Okay, so from here we can see that approximately with the corn, we can say that like it increased by like 1. With the coffee beans, it increased like by 0 point something, right? And with the cotton seeds, you can see that like it increased by like maybe 2, right? So we can see that the increase actually for the cotton seeds, right, is more. Because if you were to actually check, 3.95 minus 1.76 will give you 2.19. So it increased by 2.19%. However, when you look at the corn increased by 1.86%. How did I get that? The 11.91 minus 10.05. You'll see that, oh, actually, let me write that down, right? The corn increased by, okay, the corn increased by 1.86. Let's look at the coffee beans. The coffee beans increased by, okay, I'm writing that positive to show that it increased by 0.41. And the cotton seeds increased by 2.19. So we see that, oh, actually, the cotton seed had the largest increase from 2020 to 2021. So let's have a look at question 5.1.2. It says, determine the total amount in US dollars that the coffee contributed to the gross value, right, in 2020, right? So how much did the coffee contribute to the gross value for 2020? Okay, so we can see we're going to focus on the coffee, right? We're going to focus on the coffee beans, right? And we see that the coffee contributed 8.92% of the total of 110,322 million. So let's basically write that down. Okay, the coffee contributed, okay, we already know that the total value for 2020 is equal to 110,322 million, right? Okay, so we want to determine how much the coffee contributed, right? And we said that the coffee contributed 8.92% out of, right, that 110,322 million. Okay, right? So here it contributed, okay, that amount. Okay, so from here, all that we need to do now, we need to just convert this, okay, into an actual equation. Okay, so it's going to be 8.92% is the same as divided by 100. Multiply when you see that of, right, that 322 million. Okay, million basically means that we're going to have 6 more zeros after the 322. Okay, so if you punch this into your calculator, okay, you'll find that, oh, actually the coffee contributed, okay, 9840.7224. Don't forget the million. Okay, so the coffee contributed 9,840.7224 million US dollars. Okay, so that is that for question 5.1.2. All right, let's have a look at the next question. Question 5.1.3. It says, determine the probability. Okay, we are calculating probability in this case of randomly choosing potatoes as an agricultural product from the data above, right? So yeah, you need to ask yourself, right? When we're calculating probability, remember, we did mention that To calculate probability, right? The formula that we use is the outcomes that you want, your favorable outcomes, divided by your total outcomes, right? But this question is asking us to calculate the probability of choosing potatoes as an agricultural product. But what are we noticing here, right? Do we have potatoes in these and as the listed as the main products, okay, that are produced in Brazil? No, we don't. We've got soybeans, we've got sugarcane, you've got corn, you've got coffee beans, you've got oranges, you've got bananas, you've got cotton seeds. But there's no potato. Okay. So in this case, do you see that the favorable outcome is going to be equal to 0, right? Okay. So in this case, right, even if we say 0 divided by the total outcomes, the final answer will always be 0. Okay. So in this case, the probability of randomly choosing potatoes as an agricultural product from the above, right, is 0, right? So you can either say it's 0 or you can say that it's impossible. Okay. It's impossible to choose potatoes because potatoes are not listed, okay, as the products that are produced in Brazil. So it's 0 or, right? If you look at how we can rate this, looking at the probability scale, right? You can say that it is impossible. Okay, it's impossible. 0 is impossible. It cannot happen. All right. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at question 5.1.4. It says the gross value for the production of soybeans in 2021 was 32,201 billion, right? Okay. So we can see that, okay, for 2021, guys, do you realize that they didn't actually give us what was the total gross value for production, right? They didn't give us how much money Brazil actually made for the production of these agricultural products, right? But they do tell us the gross value for the production of the soybeans, right? Okay, so this value that now we've been given here, right, just represents what? Okay, this value just represents 25.98% of the gross value, okay, of the total gross value that Brazil made in 2021. Okay, so now let's have a look at the question. It says determine in billions the amount for the production of corn in 2021. So now we need to work with this value that's been given to us, right? To determine what was the amount for the production of corn. Okay, so we're going to be focusing on the corn, right? Here's the corn here. The corn, right? The production of the corn in 2021 was 11.91%. Okay. However, we are given just 25.98%, right? Do you see what is the problem that we are encountering now? We are not actually given what was the total production, okay? Because if we were given the total gross value, okay, that they made for the production of these agricultural products, right? It was going to be easy for us because we were just going to take the amount for the corn of 11.91 and you multiply it by the total, right? Because we would know that that 11.9 is just we would know that 11.91% of the total will basically give us the amount that they made from producing the corn, right? So, but then in this case, we are not really we can't do that, okay? We can't do that because we are not given the total. How would we then approach this question? Okay, first thing that we want to determine what is 100% of the production for 2021. We don't know what it is. So we want to determine what is 100% of the production. So that is where now we are going to implement those methods that I always talk about, right? Where you think about multiply by what you want, divided by what you have, right? We want to determine, I'm going to write this down. This is question 5.1.4. What was the total gross value for production, right, for 2021, right? And we already know that the total would then be 100%. That is what we want to determine. What is 100% of the total of the gross value of production? Okay, so now we want to take this value that we were given. Okay, remember this 32,201 billion, right? When we're talking about billion, that means that we basically have 9 zeros. Okay, we're gonna take that 32,201 billion, okay, and ask ourselves, remember, this value was the value that represents the gross value for the production of soybeans. Né? So this is the value for the production of the soybeans. Okay. And what is the percentage? This value represents what percent? Okay. Remember, we said the soybean is 25.98%. So this value represents 25.98% out of that 100%. Okay, so now in order for us to get the total gross value, okay, for production, you need to multiply by what you want and you need to divide by what you have. Okay, so therefore in this case, right, I've already explained this method to you guys in the first few video tutorials that I did with you guys on the channel. Okay, so you should be familiar now with what's happening. So to get the total gross value of production for 2021, right, that is going to be equal to the value that we already have. Okay, we already know that we're going to be working with the 32,000 US dollars, 201 billion. Okay, and we're going to multiply it by what we want. You multiply by what we want. What do we want? We want the total gross value. So we're going to multiply it by that 100%. And you're going to divide it by what do you have? What is this value that we have here? What does this value that we have, what does it represent? It represents the value for the soybeans, the percentages for the soybeans, right? Which is 25.98%. So you multiply by what you want, okay? And we want the total gross value of production, and you divide it by what you have, and you divide by this value. What is it? Okay, it represents 25.98%. Okay, so if you punch that into your calculator, right, you will get 123,945.3426 billion US dollars. So I'm going to write the US dollars. Okay, I'm getting 123,945.3426 billion. Okay, US dollars. Okay, so that is actually what the total gross value of production was for 2021. Do you see now? Now it's easy. Once we now have what the total is, right, then we're gonna now go back to our question, right? Our question was asking us for question 5.1.4, we were asked to determine in billions the amount for the production of the corn. Okay, so now we can then take the total that we've obtained, and we know that from that total, right, okay, 11.91%, right, is the gross value for the corn. Okay, so from here, okay, the gross value for the corn is going to be, we already know that the percentage for the corn is 11.91% of this total of 123,945.3426 billion. Okay, the reason why they keep writing the billion has, they don't want you to be working with like too many numbers. Okay, so the billion just helps us to just keep these numbers small. Okay, so we don't have to write too many numbers on our page. Okay, so in this case, if you take 11.91%, you divide it by 100, multiply, when you see of 123,945.3426 billion. Okay, if you punch this into your calculator, you will get, so the gross value for the production of corn in 2021 was actually equal to 14761.8903 billion US dollars. All right, and we are basically done with question 5.1.4. 1.4. So look at question 5.1.5. It says the average percentage contribution for the 7 agricultural products was 11.15% in 2021. Okay, so I'm just going to erase this so that you guys are able to follow properly. Okay, so we're given what the average percentage for the production, okay, we're given the average percentage contribution for the 7 agricultural products, right? And we are told that, okay, the average for 2021, okay, so we're going to be focusing just on 2021, right? And we are told that the average was actually equal to, percentage contribution was actually equal to 11.15%. Okay, so now we want to determine the percentage contribution of your bananas. Do you see how here we've got that missing value B here? Okay, the B was missing. So now we want to use this information that we are given about the average to help us determine what was the contributions, the percentage contributions for the bananas. Okay, here you need to know what is the formula that we use when we are calculating the average. Okay, we know that. Okay, so we know that to get the average or the mean, when you're talking about the average, you're talking about the mean, right? It is equal to the sum of all those items divided by how many items do we have, okay, in the list. Okay, so in this case, we are already given what the average is for 2021. And the average is 11.15%. I'm going to write that down. 11.15%, okay? And that is equal to the sum of all the items, okay? Now we need to add up all these items, okay? So basically to sum up all these items, we're going to take the 25.98% plus 16.60% plus 11.91% plus 9.33% plus 6.22% plus B plus 3.95%. Okay, so let's write that down. Okay, so I've added all these items together and we need to divide it by the total items. How many items do we have? How many products do we have here? Right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And they even told us here that, okay, the 7 agricultural products. So we're going to divide it by 7 to basically help us now determine the missing value B. That is the missing value that we're trying to basically obtain. Okay, so all that we need to do now, we're going to basically simplify these values further. I'm going to say 11.15%. Please, guys, don't put now the percentage in the calculator. Né? The percentage is just like the unit that we're basically working with here. Okay, so I can even just leave it out there so that you guys don't get confused. Né? Right, that's basically going to tell us whatever value that we get for B, it represents a percentage. Okay, right, so if you basically take 25.98 plus 16.60 plus 11.91 plus 9.33 plus 6.22 plus 3.95, what do you get? You'll see that you get 73.99, okay, it's percent, okay, plus the B, you divide that by 7. We're just simplifying, right? And then from here, what do we need to do, guys? We want to isolate this B. We want this B to be on its own on the right-hand side so that we know what is it. What's the value of B? Okay, so from here, we want to multiply it by 7. Okay, because here you were dividing by 7. So you need to do the inverse of division, which is multiplication, so that it cancels. Okay, and then if you multiply by 7 on the left hand side, on the right hand side, you also need to multiply by 7 on the left hand side, right? So 11.5 multiplied by 7, 11.15 multiplied by 7, you will get 78.05, and that is equal to 73.99 plus B. Okay, here, guys, please, someone was probably going to think that now we need to say times it by 7 divided by 73.99 immediately. No, you don't do that, because here there's a plus here, right? Okay, so that basically stops us. It's saying stop, right? Okay, firstly, let's just remove the 7. Okay, and then from there, then we can take it from there. Okay, how can we now remove the 73.99? Okay, we need to basically do the inverse of addition because they were adding. They added the 73.99 to the B. Okay, so to remove the 73.99, we need to minus 73.99 in this case, right? To remove it. And to remove it, then if we've minus it on the right hand side, we also need to minus 73.99 on the left hand side. So how would this look? So us just writing it as 78.5 minus 73.99. That will be equal to B. So now we've isolated our B. Okay, so if you take 78. Okay, so I made a silly mistake here. This is supposed to be 0.5. All right. So if you punch that into your calculator, 78.05 minus 73.99, you'll get 4.06, right, is equal to B. So this is 4.06%, right, is equal to B. Okay, so that is what that value B is. Remember, that missing value B is actually equal to 4.06. Okay, 4.06%, because we know that these bar graphs represent what? The percentages of the gross value of production, or the contributions that they've made. Okay, and let's have a look at question 5.1.6, the last question for this question. All right, so it's 5.1.6. Okay, let's see what is going on here. It says the projected total gross value for 2022 was 100. Okay, it is 118 billion 405 million. Okay, so here with this question, guys, right, you guys basically need to remember the topic that we spoke about in my other video tutorials that I've done, where we were basically talking about place value. All right, okay, so if I basically wanted to write 1 million, this is 1 2 3 1 2 3 million. Okay, there's 3 zeros. This is 10 million. This is 100 million. Okay, let's go on to billions. Okay, this is 1 billion. We're going to have 9 zeros. This is 10 billion. This is 100 billion. Okay, so in this case, with this question, right, because, right, we want to write down this value using numerals, using numbers. How would we write this value as a number? So we're going to obviously focus on this part here, right? We have mentioned the billions, right? How you'd write 1 million, 10, or how you'd write 1 billion, 10 billion, 100 billion, right? And we're going to be working with the 100 billion to just help us as our point of reference. Okay, so we already know that that is how you're supposed to go about writing your 100 billion. So how would we write this value? Because we're dealing with the 100 billions. Okay, so we're going to start off with this one: 118 billion. So we already know we're in the hundreds place value, right? So it's 118 billion. Okay, so we know that 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, those are the place values that we have open. Yeah, then we continue: 405 million. So this is the place value for the millions, the 100 millions. Okay, so we're gonna start off with 405 million. And then we're done, because it just says 405 million. Okay, so that is basically that. Okay, so then to read off this whole amount, then, right, okay, 118 billion 405 million. 118 billion 405 million. That is how you basically write down this value. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for you guys, right? So it is 118 billion 405 million. Okay, so then because we are in the billionth mark, right, that means that the values that are after your 118 billion, we need to have basically 9 values after, or 9 digits after the 8. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, then 405 million. Okay, so we have the 405. We've written the 405. After the 5, because it's a million, you need to have 6 digits after the comma, or 6 zeros after the comma. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I hope that one basically made sense for you guys and you appreciated the explanation. Okay, so that is it, guys, for today's video tutorial. I'm super happy that I'm actually done with this question as well, right? Please make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel, because in the last final video tutorial, guys, we are going to be tackling question 5.2. Question 5.2 deals with exchange rates, so it's still under the topic of finance. So please also, just to prepare for this tutorial, just look at the video tutorials that I've done. Exchange rates, right? My thumbnails are very clear on what I'm doing on my tutorial. So please have a look at the thumbnails and look at the ones where I've done exchange rates, just to put your mind in the correct frame of mind before you have a look at this question. Please do it for homework, right? So that when we basically do the tutorial, you've already attempted it on your own. So I'll see you guys on my next upload. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.